Hello everybody and welcome back to the Farming Simulator 25 map guide. Today we're going to take a look at Castile and Leon. But before that, this video is brought to you by Doughboy2913 and Coulier Farms. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Castile and Leon map you can find it at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu. And as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Now this is a pretty big download, coming in at just over 1 gigabyte in size, but I can tell you there are no required mods. Everything you need for the map is included with the map itself. Now let me read you the description. Hello farmer and welcome to Castile and Leon. In this virtual environment you'll find many immersive features and details. You can lose yourself wandering through the streets of the Castilian village and admire its houses, squares, shops, bars, restaurants, pedestrians, traffic, etc. The entire virtual environment features several farms, each dedicated to livestock or production in case of greenhouses. You'll find also several pastures used for animal husbandry in the countryside. You'll have 3 industrial estates at your disposal. 1 is part of a town and 2 are located on the outskirts, with a total of 26 production companies that you can purchase if you have enough capital, of course. Now, oddly enough, I counted up 38 unique productions included on this map, although I'm sure there's 26 actual companies or factories, and the others are tied to farmlands and other things. Now, this is a very important note. Castile and Leon has a total of 253 registered items, crops, productions, field types, etc. If you have mods or DLCs enabled that add new crops or productions, deactivate them because the map will not load. So, for example, I tried loading this up with all of the Farm Sim 25 DLCs, and I got to about 65 to 70%. It said loading vehicles down on the map loading screen, and it never went past that. So if you are stuck at a loading vehicle screen, then do note you probably have a mod somewhere enabled that is going to add an additional fill type, and the map is already at its limit. So for example, if you have the Giants DLCs, this map is not going to be compatible with Highlands Fishing, Precision Farming, or Straw Harvest, because all of those do have additional fill types. Castilla y Leon is fully translated into English, Spanish, German, French, Italian, Dutch, Danish, Finnish, Norwegian, and Swedish. If you like Castilla y Leon and its features, then you'd like to translate it into your language, just comment on the map author's social media pages. This map includes a total of 84 fields or plots, and for these fields, in addition to the original crops, we also have rye, alfalfa, forage poplar, forage teff, lavender, mint, thyme, and rosemary. Last crop, thyme and rosemary, is a double crop, meaning you grow 2 crops at the same time, thyme and rosemary, which you'll need for certain productions. You can also grow fruits such as apples, oranges, cherries, plums, pears, lemons, pomegranates, peach, quince, holm oak, chestnut, almonds, and walnuts. You can produce juice, jam, and other products by working with these fruit trees, and you'll find machinery for these in the shop. You'll also be able to produce resin with resin-bearing pines and pine nuts with stone pines. As for livestock, you'll have new breeds with new feeds and production options and new modified stables. You can also make your own feed with the crops you grow or buy in the shop. With respect to productions, on the other side of town, across the river, is an old industrial estate where factories produce several of the available products. Other production areas are located in the town, such as bakery, cheese factory, tailor shop, pastry shop, and many shops marked as points of sale. The second industrial estate is located on the outskirts where the following is concentrated: animal feed factory and modern products such as perfumes and natural medicines. And in this new version for FS25, new factories and points of sales have been added to the estate. Third modern industrial park is located northeast of town. It houses a sawmill and a cardboard factory, a distillery, and clothing factory. As for the greenhouse crops, we've had added cauliflower, peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, and modified some of the original crops. This greenhouse runs on compost, water, and herbicide, which can be purchased at the store or produce yourself at the organic waste treatment plant. It's important to note that herbicide is required in a greenhouse or for stone pines and resin pines. You're going to find several custom pieces of machinery in the vehicle shop. We're going to go over those in a little bit. You'll find new modifications such as silos, animal barns, storage sheds, walls, gates, and other textures in the build menu. And remember to follow the map author on his social media to stay up to date with things related to this map. Now, with all that said, let's jump back over here to the map and check out the PDA. You see we have an interesting layout here to the north. We've got a lot of forestry. To the south, we also have forestry. Then we have some meadows here in the southeast. And then a lot of our agriculture is going to be more located in the central part of the map. And then we have two distinct areas. We have kind of our town here just south of the main starting farm. And then we have another large industrial area all the way here to the south. As far as farmland we own at the start, we start up at owning farmland ID 33, and that is going to be the main starting farm, and that's going to be the only piece of farmland we own on the map. It does not include any fields, so you will need to buy all of your fields individually. Now, with respect to other farms that are available here on this map, and there's quite a few. We have farmland ID 34 here in the northwest corner. It's going to be able to be bought for $80,886. That's going to be a horse farm. We have farmland ID 49, which is going to be more towards the eastern side of the map. You're going to be able to buy that for $70,754, and it is going to be for chicken. We have a sheep farm at farmland ID 83, and that's going to be able to be bought for $35,428. Just south of that, we have a pig farm at farmland ID 82 for $41,650. We have another sheep farm at farmland ID 81 for $48,756. And then we have a greenhouse farm, if you will, at farmland ID 80 for $62,084. Now, as far as animal pastures, we have a sheep pasture at farmland ID 78, as well as farmland ID 73. We have pig pastures at farmland ID 61, and then we have a cow pasture at farmland ID 55 and 32. Now, as far as land that we need to buy for productions, we have stone pines at farmland ID 41. It's going to be located up here to the north for $267,104. We also have stone pines at farmland ID 62 for $248,000. We have resin pines at farmland ID 79, as well as farmland ID 69 for $183,000 and $146,608. Now, should you choose to not own the starting farm, then you will not own any land, nor will you have any of your starting machinery. So to that end, you will have to buy farmland ID 33 by yourself for $54,000, or choose one of the other starting farms. Now, with respect to the crop counter, we are looking at basically the base game crop counter, but since we have so many other additional crops added, it is definitely modified and custom. And speaking of those additional crops, let's go back over those once again. We have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 25, as well as rye, forage poplar, alfalfa, teff, apple, orange, cherry, plum, pear, lemon, pomegranate, peach, quince, acorn, chestnut, almond kernels, walnuts, lavender, mint, and thyme and rosemary. Now, as far as our animals go, we do start out with a chicken coop and cow barn, and we do have animals in both of those. We do have contracts available on this map, including the new FS25 contracts, including dead wood and rock removal, as well as wood transport. Now, as far as other productions, well, we're going to circle back to those here in a moment, because I'm going to go ahead and buy all of the farms and all of the production farmlands. That way we can run down through the whole list of 38 at once. Now, with respect to sell points, I counted up 16 different sell points scattered around the map, so there's going to be lots of economic variability, and you shouldn't have any issue finding a good place to sell any crop at a good price. We do start out with a decent listing of starting machinery. We are going to go through those here in a moment. And this map also does not have any collectibles. Now, with respect to our starting fleet, if we check out our garage menu, we're going to have the Steyr 62 CVT and the Kubota M8 201 medium tractor. We've got the John Deere 3650 and the Samay Virtus 135 RV Shift small tractor. And we've got our Aprilia RX 125 motorbike. We've got the custom bale spike and universal bucket for our front loader. And we have the Hauer XB 150 front loader arms for our tractor. We've got the Rudolph TDK 301 RP trailer. We also have the Agrimaz POV 5 XL plow, as well as the Eco Cultivator 300 cultivator. We have the Agrisem VT 5000 DD seeder. And then we have a modified Salek RZK 300H fertilized spreader. We have then the Rotocare V12 400 weeder, as well as the Amazon UX 5201 super sprayer for our liquid herbicide and fertilizer. For our harvesting needs, we have the Massey Ferguson 8570 harvester, grain header, and header trailer. We also have the Semez Z2 840H windrower. We have the P8 890 tedder and the XT 390 mower. We have the RA 142 forage wagon, and then we have a liquid trailer that has also been modified in order to hold some of the new crops or fill types like our omega-3 oil. Then we wrap it all up with a 1,000 kilogram front weight. Now, with respect to mods and DLCs, this map definitely has lots of custom vehicles and implements. We have a modified Anderson bio baler that is set up for the forage poplar. We also have several New Holland harvesters that are set up for each of the unique fruit tree crop types. Now, I do kind of wish that these were not individual, that we could have one harvester that would do them all, as opposed to having to buy one for every single fruit. That just seems a little bit repetitive to me. Then we have the liquid tanker that is modified again for those custom new fill types. We also have modified buckets and bale spikes for those new bales and scoopable fill types. We have a modified Mercury 4000 sprayer for those fruit trees. And then we have a modified oxbow harvester that's going to be set up for our lavender and our thyme, as well as our mint, as far as harvesting that goes. We've got a modified MKS 8 liquid tanker. Again, it's been set up for all of the liquid fill types available on this map. The MKS 32, same thing going there. We've got a modified NOAA TTW 140 animal trailer that's been set up to haul the custom animals included on the map. The RZK 300H fertilizer spreader. We have the Silver Star animal trailer, as well as the MRWK 6000 fruit trailer. And that's obviously been modified to hold all of the new fruits, in addition to grapes. We have the larger version of that trailer, the LS 12,000. Then we have pallets of firewood, pellets. We have big bags of crushed protein cereal, crust cereal, compost, total mixed ration, feed flour, compound feed, mineral feed, chopped tubers, and then we have IBC totes of liquid fertilizer, silage additive, herbicide. Then we have pallets of bagged solid fertilizer and compost. We can also buy bales. We can buy alfalfa hay, teft hay, round bales of alfalfa and teft hay, as well as round bales of chopped tubers and chopped crop, aka chaff. So I've come down to our livestock market to talk a bit about the custom animals that we have here on the map. You can see we have our animal dealership down here to the south, and if we take a look, it's really just to the west of Farmland ID 60. Here at our dealership, you can see we have Castilian cattle breeds, Holstein, Brown Swiss, Water Buffalo, Angus, and Limousin. Then we have Castilian sheep breeds, Castilian goat breeds, Castilian pig breeds, Castilian Iberian breeds, Castilian poultry breeds, Castilian horse breeds, and then sheep and goats. Okay, so when we're talking about animal food requirements or such, this will give you a little bit of context. with respect to those animal food requirements, we've got our caprice. I don't know which animal this is because I don't know where one word starts and the other word stops with all of these letters combined. But at any rate, you can see our hay is going to be composed of alfalfa hay, grass, hay, silage, teft hay, or TMR. Grain is going to be chaff, compound feed, crushed cereal, total mixed ration. And then our protein is going to be alfalfa hay, chopped tubers, compound feed, crushed protein cereal, silage, sugar beet cut, teft hay, or TMR. Chickens are going to require grain, protein, and root crops. That's going to be grain for chaff, compound feed, and crushed seed. Protein is going to be crushed tubers, compound feed, or crushed protein cereal, or sugar beet cut. And root crops are going to be bell peppers, cauliflowers, chopped tubers, compound feed, cucumber, lettuce, spring onion, sugar beet cut, tomatoes, or zucchini. Cows are going to be alfalfa hay, grass, hay, silage, teft hay, or total mixed ration. They're also going to require grain and chaff, compound feed, crushed cereal, or TMR. And protein is going to be alfalfa hay, chopped tubers, compound feed, crushed protein cereal, silage, sugar beet cut, teft hay, or TMR. Horses are going to require hay in grass or teft hay, grain in chaff, compound feed, or crushed cereal, and a protein in carrots, compound feed, crushed protein cereal. Then we have Ibreco pigs, and that's going to be acorns, almond kernels, chestnuts, or walnuts for the root crops. Acorn, almond kernels, chestnuts, compound feed, crushed cereal, or walnuts for the grain. And for protein, acorns, almond kernels, chestnut, chopped tubers, compound feed, crushed protein cereal, sugar beet cut, and walnuts. Again, for this Castilian's animal, it's either going to be our sheep and goats or our cows, depending on which is which here. We have hay, which is going to be alfalfa hay, grass, hay, silage, teft hay, TMR, grain and chaff, compound feed, crushed cereal, TMR, or protein in alfalfa hay, chopped tubers, compound feed, crushed protein cereal, silage, sugar beet cut, teft hay, or total mixed rations. Pigs are going to require protein, grain, and root crops in compound feed, crushed protein cereal, or pig food. For your grain, compound feed, crushed cereal, or pig food. And for your root crops, chopped tubers, compound feed, pig food, sugar beet cut. And then for our sheep, really simple, grass or hay. Now, let's talk about our productions. As far as productions that are available, we have a honey extractor where we're going to bring pellets and honeycombs, and we're going to get packaged honey, wax, and royal jelly. We have mills where we're going to be able to bring our grain, and we're going to get feed flour. We could also get regular flour from our grain and rice flour from our rice. We have our sugar factory, pretty straightforward, firewood and sugar beet cut for sugar, or firewood and sugarcane for sugar. We have a cosmetics factory here. It's going to make perfume, ethanol, distilled water, lavender oil, and aromatic oil. We have our pharmacy, which is going to make medicine from ethanol, distilled water, royal jelly, and mint oil. Our bakery is going to make bread or muffins from pellet flour and muffins from pellets, flour, eggs, sugar, milk, bottled, sunflower oil, and butter. We have our cheese factory, which is going to make our buffalo mozzarella. Pellets are pretty much a staple for just about any production here. Cow milk cheese from pellets and milk. Goat cheese from pellets and goat milk. Sheep's goat from pellets and sheep milk. Tofu from pellets and bottled soy drink. Then we have various flavors of yogurt from bottled soy drink down to buffalo milk, goat milk, regular milk, and sheep milk. We have a confectionery, which is going to make various jams from our various fruit and apple trees with pellets and sugar. We have our pastry shop where we're going to be able to make apple cake, lemon cake, and strawberry cake, as well as quince jelly. Our tailor shop, pretty boring compared to all the other productions so far. Fabric into clothing. We have our compound feed factory, where we're going to be able to do chopped tubers from red beets, potatoes, sugar beets, carrots, or parsnips. Compound feed from crushed cereal, crushed protein cereal, mineral feed, omega-3 oil, and feed flour. And then we have crushed cereal from barley, corn, oats, sorghum, wheat. Crushed protein cereal from canola, soybeans, and sunflowers. We have our pig food, crushed chopped tubers, crushed cereal, crushed protein cereal, mineral feed, omega-3 oil, and feed flour. And then various forms of TMR using feed flour, alfalfa hay, feed flour and regular hay, feed flour and teft hay, straw and alfalfa hay, straw and hay, and straw and teft hay. Our carpentry shop is going to be able to make barrels, planks, and buckets, and furniture. We have our sawmill, our carpentry there. Our sawmill is going to be able to make planks, long planks, and wooden beams. We have our canning factory, pretty straightforward there. Cardboard factory, again, pretty straightforward. We have our packaging factory, which is going to be able to make grape juice, as well as the various fruit juices from our various fruit trees. Rice boxes, rice cakes, and spinach bags. We have our oil mill, which is going to make our canola, olive, rice, and sunflower oil, as well as our omega-3 oil from firewood and peas, firewood and soybeans, and firewood and walnuts. We have our dairy, which is going to be able to make bottled sheep milk, bottled soy milk, buffalo milk, butters, chocolates, goat milk, and regular milk out of bottles. We have our artisan distiller. It's going to make aromatic oil from firewood, distilled water, and thyme and rosemary. Distilled water from firewood and water. Ethanol from firewood, distilled water, and corn. Or firewood, distilled water, and sugarcane. Or firewood, distilled water, and sugar. We have lavender oil for firewood, distilled water, and lavender. Or mint oil, firewood, distilled water, and mint. We have our garment factory, which is going to be able to make fabric and rope. Our timber plant, which is going to be able to make firewood, pellets, and wood chips. We have then our cereal factory, which is going to be able to make cereal, cookies, and potato chips. Our waste processor, which is basically going to be our BGA, compost, digestate, herbicide, liquid fertilizer, and solid fertilizer. And that's interesting. Waste from fruit trees, waste from horticulture, and then road salt, feed flour, and ethanol for our herbicide. And then we have our dryer here, which is going to be able to make dried nuts from firewood, raisins, acorns, chestnuts, almonds, walnuts, and pine nuts, or raisins and from grapes or plums. Those are the productions available. Now, with respect to productions you own, once you buy all the farms and all of the farmland that has productions on it, you'll have 2 resin pine tree productions. That's going to take herbicide and make resin from those pines. You're going to have several roofed, structured with mixer. And this is going to be able to make in smaller batches your chopped tubers, your compound feed, your crushed cereal, your crushed protein, your feed flour, your pig food, and your TMR. Pretty much one at every single farm. We're going to have then stone pines, which is also going to require herbicide and pine nuts as an output. And then we're going to have 2 greenhouses, which are going to be able to do bell peppers, cauliflower, chili peppers, cucumbers, enoki, lettuce. Then we have our garlic, Napa cabbage, oyster mushrooms, spring onion, strawberries, tomatoes, and zucchini. And all of those are going to require compost, herbicide, and water. And we're also going to get some waste horticulture as a result. I just tabbed over to our tractor, and here we have one of those roofed feed mixers with our dump point and our input pipe. Then we're going to find our output pipe around the side here. We have our cows, so we have our slurry point. We have storage for all types of things. We're going to come up here to our ATM looking contraption. Here we can store herbicide, seed, liquid fertilizer, lime, and solid fertilizer. You're going to find that structure as well as your feed mixer on pretty much all the other farms. We've got a hay dryer here, so we have our input and we have our output. We have bale and pallet storage here. So we have our input for our bales, and we have our output and our interactive icon. We have fuel storage. We have our main silo. We have a storage silo for compound feed PMR. Our chickens. So we have our chicken buy point there. 20 chickens in total. We have our fill point for our chickens. We have our egg point. We have our food trough for our cows. We have our pallet, or not our pallet, our bale or straw trigger. And our slurry point. And we're pretty much back to where we started. Just want to take a look inside here real quick. We have 2 points to load our blower, our dryer, and then we have our blower to empty. Pretty neat. We have a water point, and then this is going to be how we're going to be getting in our farm. Pretty much all the farms are walled off. And then we have our manure point right here for our cows. We have our milk point. And that is pretty much our starting farm. Now, everything could be sold on this farm except the wall and the gate. It acted like I could sell the gate, but when I did go to sell the gate, I got no money back and the gate remained. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the other farms available on this map. First, starting with our horse farm here in the northwest. You will need to, of course, own this before you be able to make use of the area. We have a farm silo as soon as we come in, as well as our fuel storage. We have our bale storage located right here. We have our feed silo, again for our compound feed and PMR. Our water point. Each farm, again, is going to have one of these productions. Then we have our horses. So we have our manure point, straw and feed. Delivery point for our horses. We have 8 of 16 in total. And then here we have the storage. Again, that's going to be a common theme across all of the farms. Let's make our way across the north part of the map real quick to farmland ID 49. This is going to be the chicken farm. So as we come in the gate, we've got our water. We have a service bay here. And what's cool about this service bay is we have the FS19 version, or FS19 map that this group made. We have the FS22 version of this map. And then we have the FS25 version, at least version 1.0. If anything is going to tell us is that, well, we can expect multiple iterations of this map in the future. We have our fuel point. Then our main chicken coop. We can do 120. We have 72 chickens right now. We have our eggs over there, and we have our feed here. And we can provide straw on the other side of that netting. So we can provide loose straw outside or bales on the inside. We have our compound feed silo, bale storage, manure, and then our seed, lime, fertilizer, herbicide, etc. storage. Our main farm silo, and that compound feed mixer. Let's make our way over here to farmland ID 83. And 83 is going to be our sheep. And then right across the way from our sheep are going to be our pigs. So to our right, we have fuel. To our left, we have water. We have our bale storage. We have our feed mixer. We have our consumable storage, herbicide, fertilizer, lime, etc. We have our farm silo. We have our feed silo. Our manure. And then our sheep. So our food trough, we have our bale storage, not our bale storage, our bale or straw point, and then we have our delivery point for our sheep. We have 20, and we can have 20. So we are all full up on our sheep. We have our slurry point. And then back on the other side of this shed, we should have then our milk or wool. Across the way, we're going to find then our pigs, or one of our pigs, water, diesel, right, our consumable storage. We're going to have our main farm silo, and then this is going to be, well, an interesting output. It's going to be for root crop storage. So we're going to dump our tubers into here, and depending on the tuber is where it's going to be stored. And then depending on where it's stored is where you're going to get it out. We have our compound feed silo. We have our pigs, so we have our dump point for our food, our bales of straw, our loose straw, and our pig drop off. We have 20, and we can store 20. And then we have our slurry, compound feed mixer, bale storage, and then our manure on the side with our feed silo. Making our way across the town a little bit. We're back over here to our starting farm. And then let's go south across the river. And this is going to be another sheep farm. Looking at my notes, farmland ID 81. So we have our farm silo, we have our bales. our manure. We have our goats, meotes. 20 goats, which have a total of 20 in them. We have our straw, we have our bale straw, we have our feed. We have our slurry. Our milk's going to be on the other side of the building, like we've already seen. Our compound feed silo. Our compound feed production. Service bay. And then right on the other side of the wall here, we're going to have what we're going to call the greenhouse farm. So we have 2 greenhouses. We have our input dumps. We have our interactive icon. So we have 2 of those. We have our fuel, water. And then on the perimeter, we're going to have some storage sheds. With our farm silo, our service bay, and our seed, fertilizer, herbicide, etc. storage. Let's loop back up around to a pasture. Here we have a goat pasture. We have our feed. We have our water. And then we have this structure here. This little tome, if you will. It's my belief that this is what's going to be allowing you to easily sell this. Gives you something to quickly click on. We have 620 animals in this goat pasture, and we can store 1,217. So pretty high capacity. So make your way south along the western side of the map to farmland ID 73. And here we have a sheep pasture. 620 sheep, of which we can have 1,177. So we have our food, we have our water, we have our tome here. Like how this one kind of spans this little creek. Let's make our way across the southern part of the map to farmland ID 61. And here we have pigs. So we have our food, we have our water, we have our concrete pedestal. We go north, we go to farmland ID 55. We're going to have cows. And we have our water. 620 cows out of 1,283. We have our food. Then we have our concrete tombstone. Then one more cow pasture. Farmland ID 32. Once again, 620 animals, 1,116 can be possible. We have our water, we have a tome, and we have our food. Now let's talk about our productions. And while we're down here, let's talk about our tree productions. Let's make our way down here to farmland ID 62. And this is going to be our stone pine production. And the stone pine production is going to require herbicide and it's going to make pine nuts. So we see arrows here as to basically which way we need to spray for our herbicide. We have 2 of those. And then we have the same way up here at Farmland ID 41, which is over by our horse farm. Right there. Now let's go and take a look at our resin pines. That's going to be at Farmland ID 79 and 69. So here we have our resin pines at 79. And they're also going to require herbicide. And they're going to make resin. And then 69, which is in, again, the southern part of the map. And while we're down here, we'll go ahead and cover the production and sell points that are down here in this urban area. We have our resin pines. So in this urban area, just north of Farmland ID 69, we're going to find our dehydrated forages sell point. We have our livestock market, which we were already at. Our vehicle dealership is going to be right here beside the livestock market. We also have our fuel point and electric charging stations. We have production for our canning factory, our feed factory, our cosmetic lab, our pharmaceuticals lab, and our waste processor. Let's come over here to our vehicle shop. And go ahead and see where our vehicles and implements are going to spawn. Big parking lot along the side of the building, right beside the dealership trigger. So pretty good sized area for your vehicles and such to spawn. We've got a lot going on in this map, but the fields overall aren't all that large. Then here we have our animal dealer. All right, we have our fuel point and our recharging station. Our waste processor. Kind of the high-tech labs and other productions down here to the south. Now, if we make our way north, we're going to kind of come into what I'll call the Old Town. And Old Town is mixed with a bunch of small productions and small shops. So we have our bakery, our pastry shop. We have our extractor, artisan extractors. We have then an ice cream parlor, a confectionery, tailor shop, packaging, processed foods, dryer, sugar factory, dairy products, oil products. That's kind of across the river, right? So we have Old Town, then we have the kind of newer across the river there. So Old Town also has a ton of sell points. Furniture shop, hardware and construction, dried fruits, clothing, pharmacy, a tavern, pizzeria, a burger joint, We have a cafe, as well as a restaurant. We're all within this little area. Then across the river, kind of have more modern facilities, which you've already kind of talked about, which again is going to be the carpentry, processed foods, the oil factory, packaging, the dryer, dairy products, sugar factory, and our agricultural supply sell point. Over here to the east, we also have then our garment factory, cardboard factory, our sawmill, and our distiller. All up here. Now, there was a section of the description which I didn't bother to read because it really didn't make a whole lot of sense without some context. And that was a section about aquaculture. Well, there is this aquaculture facility here, but it is effectively disabled. So you'll see triggers, you'll see things here as if it was going to be functional. And this map probably was submitted before Highlands fishing came out. And as a result, then we had basically aquaculture here on the map. But the map author pulled it out because it could conflict or confuse players because of the aquaculture here was probably using trout and salmon, as was obviously Highlands fishing. And since, well, Highlands fishing can't be used on this map because this map is basically using all the possible fill types and crops that are available, 253, then it's been disabled. But it is here. It's just on non-ownable land, and all the triggers are, as I said, disabled. Now there's one more area that I believe we skipped over, and that is just north of Farmland ID 79, just south of Farmland ID 35. That's going to be this production right here. And it's going to be the mill. So guys, that is the map in a nutshell. There's a whole lot going on here. It's a whole lot to kind of unpack and talk about in the relatively short time that this video has been put together. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this map. This is probably one of the most complex maps that we've seen released for console. PC players have experienced maps like this in the past, so it's not necessarily anything new to PC players, but it should be quite a treat for console players that are looking for something with a bit more complexity and challenge. Let me know your thoughts again down in the comments below. And until next time, happy farming.